two related concepts are version control and configuration management. Let's start with version control. A version control system stores and navigates snapshots of different versions of the software. The idea is if you have a piece of software and you make a change, after you make the change, that's a different version than the one before the change. This is typically done at a much finer grain than releases of software, all the way down to individual changes. A version control system gives you the ability to roll back to a previous version. So if you've ever made a mistake with a change and want to get back to where you were when the software was still working, the version control system would let you roll back to the working version. It also synchronizes compatible versions. Maybe there's a development versus a release version. Maybe there are different branches and merges of parallel efforts for different ports to different hardware and so on. The idea of a version control system is to keep all this straight. So if you have a specific version number, the version control system can give you the actual source code that matches that version number. There are many popular version control systems and they change all the time. It doesn't really matter which one you use as long as it is good for your purposes. Git is a currently popular one, but really use one that does what you need. To consider when picking a version control system is that if you need to manage binary files instead of text files, some systems have trouble with that. Also, if you have multiple sites concurrently accessing the version control system, that can require special care. For a long-lived embedded system, you want to do more than the obvious putting the source code for the software itself in version control. You also want the design documents, the requirements, the test plans, the tool chain, and other related artifacts in the version control system so that if you have to go back and, for example, fix a bug in an old version without being able to upgrade to the new version, you can actually figure out what the tests were to make sure that that bug got fixed properly, for example. You also need a process for who, what, and when to update a version. Minor versions might be created every time there's a small change to the software. But at some point you decide that a particular version is a stable version, something you want to track at a higher level and make sure you can get later, and you need a process to sort all that out. You also want to tie your version control system to some sort of disaster recovery system. What if, for example, there's a fire at your development building and the computers are destroyed? How do you recover all that software you spent all that money developing? Your disaster recovery system will take snapshots of the version control system and store them off-site so that you can withstand fire, flood, crypto locker attacks, and so on.